everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today for our session focusing on returns and refunds for sellers that do their own fulfillment. My name is Yas and I'm on the Seller University team. So our presenter today are going to be Jorge and Sandra. Pass it over to you, Jorge.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Yas. I'm Jorge. I'm just turning the video on real quick just to say hi. Appreciate you guys joining today. Hopefully you'll be able to take away some of the relevant information that is useful about different features that are available to you about returns and refunds. We'll talk a little bit about the order cancellation process that just launched. And again, we're going to be going through some demos and walkthroughs of the screen by screen on Seller Central. You'll be also sent a handout as well. In case, if you miss something, you're going too fast, you can always check that handout afterwards. With that said, just again, appreciate you guys taking the time and hope this is really useful to you. With that said, just switching video off. I'll jump back on a little later. So like I said, today we're going to discuss, first of all, buyer-initiated order cancellations. We just launched a new experience for that, so I'll walk you through a little bit about why we changed that and some things that are coming there. We're going to talk about returns and refunds for seller-fulfilled orders. This is really important. Most of the webinar we're going to cover is actually more focused towards fulfilled by merchants. So if you are an FBA seller, this will obviously be good insight as to what it is to do FBM, fulfilled by merchant, but it'll be a little bit less useful. We are going to focus more on that latter side. We'll also explore how to issue a return and a refund, and more importantly, the different return types and offer tips for reducing returns. All right, so with that said, let me start with the order cancellations and return. So basically, as a seller, you probably spend a lot of time thinking about how to put your products in the hands of customers. And sometimes customers are going to request to cancel orders and products will need to be returned to you. So we recently launched the buyer requested order cancellation, a new experience for this. But before I kind of talk about the new experience, I do want to say for customers to cancel, within the first 30 minutes of them placing an order on the Amazon store, the customer can directly cancel their order. So they can immediately, just send in straight away a cancellation. After the 30-minute period finishes, customers have to submit an official cancellation request. So that is what will really appear to you and may or may not affect your cancellation rate metric, depending on if it was officially submitted or if it was incorrectly submitted. I'll talk a little bit about those two in a second. When you do receive an official request to cancel an order, you're going to be notified via email for starters, and above the order information in the Manage Order page within Seller Central. So this is a new experience. The cancellations have moved out of buyer-seller messages and are now in the Manage Orders page. If you haven't shipped and confirmed the order, you can then go and cancel it, and you will not be affected in your cancellation rate metric. I'll show you exactly how to do that in a second. But let me take a second to dive into what changed recently. If you've been a seller longer than about 2 weeks on Seller Central, you'll know that in the past, cancellation requests came in through the buyer-seller messages. Now, the issue with that was if a customer had officially submitted a cancellation request, what you would see on your buyer-seller messages was you had a cancellation request. If they just decided to go into their buyer-seller messages and type, "Hey, I'd like you to cancel my order," that was not an official cancellation request. And so that can get confusing because they're both in your buyer-seller messages. So what ended up happening is some people were confused, some people ended up being scared of what can I cancel, what shouldn't I? And so we just fully all decided to take cancellation requests out of the buyer-seller messages and put them in Manage Your Orders. So important thing to note about all of this is we launched this feature for you in your Manage Orders page to see these the orders that have a buyer requested cancellation. And we started to get a lot of feedback from different sellers. And if any of you are the particular person who provided this feedback, we've done a lot of seller surveys. We're looking through all of our seller forums. We encourage you, every time we do a release, please let us know what you think about it, what we can improve. We're definitely looking through all of that. And with this particular launch, a couple of things became very evident receiving seller comments. One of those was on the email we were sending, if we could put a hyperlink so that the email itself could directly take you to that specific order. So we've changed that now. We also put on that email in the subject line the specific order ID to make it, save you a little bit of time. And the third thing, which was a very important call out that we received from sellers, was could we add a filter on the Manage Orders page where you could filter specifically orders that have a cancellation request. So all of those 3 improvements were our quick launches that we did just after. Great ideas. They were missed in the initial launch, but fantastic that we got that feedback from sellers. And those either going to be launched this week or early next week, depending on the rollout. But long story short, really soon those features are going to be available to you. And hopefully, as I said, it's feedback that you guys provided. We're listening to it and trying to incorporate changes as we go. So again, thank you for that. So let's look through how to get to this particular section. On Seller Central, you go to Main Menu, you hover to your orders, and then go to Manage Your Orders. Once you're there, you'll just typically see all of your orders listed there. But what is new is now there's this banner up top that says the buyer has requested that this order be canceled, and canceling this order will not affect your cancellation rate metric. So you do not have to fear. If you have this banner coming up, you'll also notice it on the right side, just below where it says unshipped, there's a buyer cancellation. Once you click on that and you can cancel the order, you'll come to this second screen where you'll be able to select from the drop-down list the option buyer canceled. Again, if you do this and there's a cancellation request, your cancellation rate metric will not be affected, and you'll be protected. We do encourage you to continue to check out your buyer seller messages. There are very sporadic paths across Amazon where a customer can still cancel and it would appear in your buyer seller messages. We're closing those gaps down in the next few months, but maybe 1% of those cancellations will come in through your buyer seller messages. It's important to keep a lookout for them. So if you do see one coming in there, it can still happen, but we're trying to close those gaps real soon. But for the large majority of cancellations, they should appear here on your buyer on your manage order page. All right, so let's talk about returns. When handling customer returns, sellers in the Amazon store are required to meet Amazon's return policy. So that's going to be really, really important. To access your return request, open the Seller Central main menu and you hover over Orders and select Manage Returns. This will take you to the following page. And on this page, on the Manage Returns page, you can access all return requests, including the ones with an A to Z claim, the ones that are pending action and requiring authorization. You'll also notice that some of them are auto-authorized for a return, so you don't have to worry about those ones. It's just kind of more FYI there. But for the ones that do require action, this is where you would be able to do that. So if you approve a return request, make sure you provide clear guidance on how the customer can return the product. Your instructions should include a local return address and a prepaid return label. For instances where you don't want the product back, maybe it's not worth it for you to get it back, it's maybe too expensive. We'll talk about that a bit more in a second, but what you want to do is refund the customer and let them know that they don't need to return the product. So be sure to respond to all return requests within 24 hours by either approving the request or closing it based on the order return eligibility. But you need to monitor that and make sure it's within 24 hours. If you do close a return request, always let the customer know why their order wasn't eligible for a return. And should a customer mistakenly contact you about a return message, through the buyer seller messaging, please instruct them to raise a request using the online return center, rather than just telling you through the chat that they want to return. You do want to use the buyer seller messaging to respond to product questions or order delivery issues. For order returns, customers must instead contact you through a return request. All right, so once a return request is completed or closed, you can access your return history on the Manage Returns page. And then talking about prepaid returns. So while return reasons may vary, there are different options you can offer to provide a great return experience for customers. One of those options is a prepaid return. With prepaid returns, customers can be confident that they won't have to pay for return postage if a product doesn't work out for them. This means they may be actually more willing to purchase it in the first place. I know my wife was trying to shop for some stuff online the other day, and she didn't really know if she wanted to buy it in the store because she could try it on. And then when she found out that there was a prepaid return already, she didn't have to worry about that. She was more inclined to purchase it. So it's just an example of feeling comfortable with that situation to purchase it in the first place versus maybe going to a physical store. So in the US, Amazon automatically authorizes returns for products that fall within our return policy. We do provide customers with prepaid return shipping labels on your behalf through Buy Shipping Services. So depending on how you purchase the label, if it was through Buy Shipping Services, it automatically includes a prepaid return. We also automatically issue prepaid return labels for most items when sellers have a domestic return address. Otherwise, you're going to need to generate those labels yourself. And outside of the US, return policies can vary depending on the country. So to check settings for other regional stores, start by selecting the gear icon in the upper right of Seller Central, open the settings menu, and then there you can select return settings from the drop-down menu that appears. And then on the next screen, you're going to be able to see under the general settings tab on this page, you can see the current return authorization and label type for each store you sell in. So you can also find where to enroll in Amazon prepaid return labels if that's available to you. And it's not on these other tabs, it's on the screenshots, but under the Manage Return Addresses tab, you can set your return address for these for each of the different stores. And note that you'll be required to provide a domestic return address for each store you sell in. So for Canada, you're going to need a local return address within Canada. For Mexico, for one in Mexico, and for US, one in US. And under the other tab, Return Program Setting tab, you can set options for the free returns program. We'll talk a bit about that in a sec. These are different from standard prepaid returns because you can't deduct the cost of return shipping from the refund you provide customers. So on a regular return, you are able to deduct the shipping, but not on a free return. And so let's talk about free returns. Free returns are attractive to customers because they can help customers feel like they are purchasing without any risk at all. Think about it. If you pick up a golf club in a physical store and it doesn't quite feel right, you don't have to pay to put it back on the shelf, right? Even if you took it home, you don't have to pay to bring it back to the store and, for them to take it back. They'll give you a full refund. That's the same concept of free returns. So if a customer can buy a golf club in the Amazon store with free returns, they'll feel confident that they can get a full refund if they send the club back and don't have to worry about that experience of, hey, maybe I miss out a little because I purchased it online. So in the US, you can choose to offer free returns for all, some, or none of your items. However, there are some exceptions. Free returns are mandatory for all fashion items other than luggage, and in some regions, you may not have the option of charging for returns for those products. Also, you can use a free returns template to specify which products you offer free returns for. So you can do that by setting up free returns on this template, or templates for other return settings. First of all, do this by selecting Manage Return Template to the right of these tabs. Then on the Manage Return Template page, select Free Returns from the drop-down menu and download this template. This will download like an Excel file. You'll be able to access return templates if you're part of the prepaid label program. So depending on your region, you may be automatically enrolled for this. If not, you'll need to enroll, but then you'll be able to download your template. And so once you download your free return template, you'll find steps for requesting free returns for your SKUs. For those who aren't familiar with SKUs, it's just another way to reference, your specific product code. So this is what the download file looks like. And to provide a free return for a product, or actually multiple products, you want to copy paste the SKUs into column A of the free return sheet. And you can do this for up to 50,000 SKUs at a single time. And so once you do that, you copy all of those SKUs in the first column. In the second column, you can just switch the drop-down menu to yes under free returns override. And now once you upload this file again, it will now apply free returns to these products. So that's, once you completed, make sure on the Excel, you need to save this as a text file. So that's when you're saving a file on Word, it would be having the extension of TXT. That way it can be read. It also says that here in case you missed it. And finally, return to the Manage Return Template page, which is what's shown on the screen, and upload the file through the feed uploader for prepaid exemptions. All right, so now pivoting away from there, let's talk about returnless refunds. This is another option, and this means that customers won't send the product back to you to get a refund. And this can be helpful when the cost of shipping is more than the product's worth, for example. I could imagine, if I'm selling, I don't know, a packet of 3 pens that are pretty cheap, it probably costs me more to get the product to pay for the return than it does if they didn't like them and they want a refund. So I could, in those cases, just say, you know what, keep the product, we'll give you a refund anyways. Another example might be, perhaps there's a product that even if you did get returned, you wouldn't be able to do anything with it. Possibly, I don't know, if I'm shipping socks and the customer didn't like them, they didn't fit, maybe even if they ship them back, because they've put them on their foot, I can't repackage those and sell them again. So I might as well, in that scenario, just tell the customer, hey, just keep them, we'll refund you, and you're building a relationship with that particular customer. But again, it's up to you which products it makes sense. Maybe you have different scenarios where a returnless refund makes sense. It's totally different from those two examples I gave. So to set this up, you'll find this option under the Resolutions tab on the Return Settings page. Once you're there, select the Create a Returnless Resolution Rule button. And what you want to do is name the rule and then select the product category. So what product group it is, what's the return reason, the regional store where you want your rule to apply, and the average selling price, the ASP. And then you can select Save. Now, when a customer requests a return that aligns with that rule, you can use a returnless refund. Note that this won't apply to orders placed before the rule was made. So if you do cancel the rule, any order placed before you canceled it will be subject to that rule. So just bear that in mind when you're switching these on or off. And now you may want to offer returnless refunds only for specific products within the category, not the whole category itself. That's also possible, and in this case, you'll need to use the returnless resolution template, again, from the Manage Return template page, and you may also want to issue a refund without a return. If a product is defective, it can't be resold, like that example I mentioned earlier about the socks. In cases like this, you can also arrange a returnless refund with the customer for that specific item through buyer-seller messaging. And items that contain a returnless resolution rule will also have the option of a returnless replacement. So not just a refund, but you can actually give them a returnless replacement. And in the case of a returnless replacement, what will happen is you'll simply send them out another one, and we'll talk a little bit about how that works in a sec. All right, so speaking of, let's talk about replacements. Basically, you can offer replacements for all returns eligible under the prepaid return label program. As long as the original item arrives, if it arrives damaged, defective, or materially different to the customer. So basically, this option will only be offered if the inventory of the original item is in stock at the time of the return request, which kind of makes sense, right? If you're asked for a replacement and you don't have inventory, obviously you can't offer a replacement. You would just be able to offer a refund. So we do check that if the customer is asking for a replacement, at least you have inventory as per what's registered on Seller Central. When a customer requests a free replacement for their damaged, defective, or materially different product that they received, we'll create a zero value replacement order and provide an Amazon prepaid return label to return the original item. So you're going to receive on your Manage Orders page a new order that has zero value, and it'll just indicate to you that you now need to ship this replacement out. But what's important is customers will, after this is issued, customers will have 7 calendar days to drop off their original item using that Amazon prepaid return label. We will notify you, so that order up till then, until the customer ships it back, that replacement order on my orders is going to be pending. Once they actually ship it back and it gets scanned, we will notify you to ship the replacement order, confirming that the original item is being sent back and that it's on its way to you. And so after that, you will be able to evaluate if the actual the order that you received back was in the right conditions, and then if it wasn't, there's still some alternatives for you to make sure that you don't have an abusive customer who's just doing this to try to get some scam or get some money. All right, so now that we covered different return options, let's cover refunds. You're required to issue a refund within 2 business days after you receive a return. So again, important there is business days. If it lands on the weekend, you'll have the next until the next business day, depending on what you've enabled for your weekend operations. If you don't, Amazon may refund the customer on your behalf and charge them out to your seller account. So you really want to make sure that you're attending these refund requests within 2 business days. And you can issue a refund either after the product is returned or immediately if it was a returnless refund. Obviously, in that case, you're not waiting on the product to arrive. If you want the product returned, we do encourage you to wait until you receive it before issuing a refund to make sure you can properly evaluate its condition or that it is actually the right product that they shipped back, and they didn't just put a rock in a box and send it back to you. And you want to monitor the refund to ensure it's issued to your customer in a timely manner. A lot of times, the actual refund to their accounts is based off of the situation with their bank, so there's going to be some processing days there as well. common to get questions about that. So to issue a refund for a return request, open the Seller Central main menu, then hover over orders and click Manage Returns. On the Manage Returns page, you can search directly for an order or view it by type. Find the order that you want to refund and select the Issue Refund button. On the next page, select the reason for the refund, then select a refund option. So depending on the return, you may be responsible for the cost of return shipping. For example, if you ship an incorrect or damaged product, well, it's going to be, that was the seller's fault. You can't deduct the original shipping or return shipping cost from this refund, again, because it was the seller's fault. And you must provide a full refund to the customer. You also must provide a full refund for returns that align with the Amazon policy for fashion items. For customer fault returns, though, such as an accidental order, or they found a better price and they don't want it anymore and they want to place a new order, you can in fact deduct the cost of the return shipping from that refund, so that you're not paying for it when it was the customer who just changed their mind. So if you've opted in to free returns, obviously in that case you're not allowed to deduct the return shipping for a return, and also for returns that align with the Amazon policy. And remember, customers may find your product more appealing if they know they won't have to pay for that return. It might be enticing for them to actually place the order in the first place. All right, so let's talk about some tips to reduce returns. The first one is make sure you're actually accurately describing your products. So a customer might submit a return request if the product they received doesn't really match what they thought they were purchasing when they looked up your product. Accurate product detail pages help customers make informed buying decisions, and we recommend to describe your product accurately. Use clear images and check that your products are matched to the correct ASIN. I've seen a couple of examples where I thought I was purchasing a product that was 3D and large, and then it turned out to be a 2D magnet and was flat. Another time, I was purchasing an item and I noticed that it was way bigger. I thought it was big in the picture, and then I got it and it was pretty small. So again, those are all important things that you want to make sure are clear on your detail page. What's the size of the product? Is it really 3D? Sometimes setting the right expectation as to is it used or new? That can also be important. Another one could be, if the product contains 3 units, make sure that those are set there so that the customer doesn't expect, hey, I thought I was just getting one. Why did I get 3 units of this product? The next one is adequate packaging. Fulfilling your orders with care using adequate packaging can prevent a product being damaged. So when preparing a shipment, make sure that you should be able to pass what's known as a 3-foot drop test. A 3-foot drop test basically consists of the following. You want to drop your box 6 times at different angles from a 3-foot base. Basically, you want to drop it flat, you want to drop it on its top, on the longest side and the shortest side, and finally on corners. And if it's able to withstand all of that and your product is still not broken, then you could feel pretty comfortable about shipping it with any carrier, and the likelihood of it actually breaking in the transportation is way lower. So again, if your product can withstand this test, it won't likely break during transportation, and obviously that leads to fewer returns, fewer refunds. All right, the next one is using buy shipping services for prepaid return labels. I'll take a step back, and what is buy shipping services in case you're not familiar? When you're shipping your product out, on your manage orders page, there's a button there that says buy shipping. When you click on that, you can either purchase labels individually, or you can purchase them in bulk up to 100 labels at a time. And you get a lot of other benefits that it protects your account health, not just the fact that you're purchasing labels. It will automatically include tracking, so your valid tracking rate is 100% granted. It will also protect you from late deliveries as long as you ship on time. So that's another good reason to use buy shipping. And additionally to all of that, it will automatically issue these prepaid return labels. So that's another important one. A last point that I encourage you guys to use buy shipping is we recently launched Amazon sponsored discounts. So those are discounts that are available on ship methods that are reliably fast, and they range up to about $5. So they can actually be pretty significant, and they're good reasons to pick these carriers and to use buy shipping. I will call out that to get those discounts, you may, if you have your own UPS or FedEx account linked with Seller Central, you will not be able to see them. So you do need to disconnect that to be able to see these Amazon sponsored discounts. But anyhow, related to usage of buy shipping with this prepaid label, buy shipping helps you ensure customers can return their order without a delay. We'll authorize US returns that align with our return policy and provide customers with prepaid return shipping labels on your behalf. So buy shipping allows you to purchase shipping labels and then also give out that prepaid return label in advance. And because these orders are delivered using a trusted network of carriers, you're also protected against A to Z guarantee claims if the claims are related to delivery issues and you ship this order on time. So again, it can help you protect your account in many different ways by using buy shipping on top of having those extra discounts that I mentioned earlier. So again, on your manage orders page, you can always check out that button that says buy shipping. And last but not least, kind of a side tip, but if you want to use FBA fulfilled by Amazon, this will just help you because we do a lot of the management for returns and refunds, and you don't have to really worry about this. So FBA allows you to send your products to Amazon's fulfillment centers, and then we'll deliver them to customers when they order. When you receive an order, we'll pick, pack, and ship those products to your customer. And Amazon, like I mentioned, also provides customer service and handles returns on all FBA orders. So if this is just something, returns and refunds, you don't want to worry about, if you go with the FBA route, it will kind of just solve all of that for you. All right. So in summary, as you've seen, there's many different options for processing returns and refunds. So really consider carefully the products in your catalog, choose the options that work best for you. And you may want to arrange free returns on some products. You may want to issue returnless refunds on other ones, or a combination of both. And all of that is fine. It really depends on what products you want, and also for, making sure you're complying with the Amazon policy. When making your choice, always put yourself in the shoes of customers. If you were making a purchase online and something wasn't right with that order, what would you want the seller to do? Approaching returns and refunds with your customer in mind can encourage them to purchase from you again, even after a return does happen.
So thank you again to Sandra and Jorge and all of our attendees. I really appreciate you guys coming out for this, and we hope to see you again next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much.